Start. Wonderful. Good morning, everyone. I'm Teresa Purse. I'm the House Chair of the Appropriations and Financial Affairs Committee. It's Thursday. What day is it? Wow, it is April 29th. It was good to see everyone yesterday at the Civic Center, but we're back here today to finish up a series of public hearings that we're having on our bond issues, on our bond bills. We've been doing this for the last 2 weeks. This is our last day of them for a little while, although we do have a few that are still being printed, so I can anticipate, I think the co-chair Breen and I think we'll have probably one more day at least of bond hearings coming up, but we're not exactly sure when that'll be. Today we have three. We're going to start with LD 987, then we're going to have LD 373, and then we'll finish up with LD 1086. So while everyone gets themselves organized, maybe I'll start with introductions, and we'll start with the birthday girl, Representative Barbara Cardone. Happy birthday.
Thank you. I'm Barbara Cardone. I represent House District 127, which is part of Bangor.
And Representative Fay.
Good morning. I'm Jessica Fay. I represent House District 66, which is parts of the towns of Casco, Poland, and Raymond.
And Representative Fecteau.
Good morning. I'm Justin Fecteau, and I represent part of Augusta.
And Representative Hymanson.
Good morning. I'm Patty Hymanson. I represent House District 4, which is parts of York, Wells, Sanford, and all of Ogunquit.
Representative Arata.
Good morning. My name's Amy Arata, and I represent House District 65, which includes New Gloucester and part of Poland.
Representative Millett.
Good morning. I'm Soen Millett. I represent House District 71, including the citizens of Norway, Sweden, Waterford, and West Barrett.
And Representative Corey, are you there? Hi. We're just doing introductions. Would you like to introduce yourself, Representative Corey?
I'm sorry, I had the volume off for that second, and I just turned it back on, and I figured that was part of it. Anyways, hi, I'm Patrick Corey. I represent House District 25, which is part of Windham. Good morning.
Good morning. I won't take that personally. Then we have Senator Davis.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Paul Davis. I have the honor of representing Senate District 4, which is all of Piscataquis County and parts of Somerset and Penobscot.
And Senator Bailey, whose birthday is tomorrow.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I think it's only fitting that my birthday present to myself tomorrow is my second COVID shot.
Excellent.
Sign of the times. My name is Donna Bailey, and I represent Senate District 31, which is Saco, Old Orchard Beach, Hollis, Leamington, and part of Buxton. Thank you.
And my good co-chair, Senator Breen.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Kathy Breen. I represent 6.5 communities in Cumberland County in the Maine Senate. I serve as Senate Chair of Appropriations. Did Representative Millett introduce himself?
He did.
He did.
Yeah, I believe he did. Yeah.
Thank you.
And he's not celebrating birthdays, we learned. So there's.
We'll get there.
We'll get there. And once again, I'm Teresa Purse. I represent House District 44, which is the majority of Falmouth, and I serve as the House Chair of Appropriations and Financial Affairs. We are ably served by Maureen Dawson, our analyst in OFPR, and Mary Ann McMasters, our clerk, who keep this whole world of squares spinning for us. Our first bill is LD 987. It is Senator Chipman's bill, and Senator Chipman, you have the floor.
Great. Thank you, Representative Purse, Senator Breen, members of the Joint Standing Committee on Appropriations and Financial Affairs. I'm Senator Ben Chipman. I represent Senate District 27, which is part of the city of Portland. I'm here to introduce LD 987, which is an act to authorize a general fund bond issue for the Portland Harbor Commercial Revitalization Project's Confined Aquatic Disposal Cell and Dredging Projects. The Portland Harbor's working waterfront is a major player in southern Maine's economy, from fishing to tourism and transportation. Yet the waterfront has not been operating at full capacity for decades due to contaminated sediment buildup. LD 987 proposes a bond to raise money to pay for the critical needs and work to rehabilitate the area through the construction of a confined aquatic disposal, otherwise known as CAD, cell, and maintenance dredge. The CAD, cell, and maintenance dredge will promote commercial economic growth, maintain the working waterfront, and greatly improve the water quality, allowing the marine industry to continue to grow, supporting the entire Maine economy. As the primary economic driver in the greater Portland area, if the working waterfront falters, it will have a serious negative economic effect across the entire state. The marine industry employs 2,400 people in Portland Harbor alone, and without this project, the working waterfront in Portland Harbor is at serious peril. So let's talk about the numbers. The cost of this project is projected at $29,919,432. The users and owners would provide almost $3 million through tipping fees. I would suggest a bond of $28 million to account for increased costs. You will hear from others who will testify after me that everything has been done to prepare for this project. It will be shovel ready by the summer. Issuing a bond from the state of Maine seems to be the surest way to fund this project. I should also mention that this project has wide swaths of support from small businesses, environmental advocates, and lobstermen. Please join me in supporting LD 987, and I'm happy to try to answer any questions you may have, although I'll note that there are people testifying after me that can answer more technical questions you might have. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Chipman. Are there any questions for the good senator? I'm not seeing anybody with their hands raised, so we appreciate your testimony and opening up this LD. Is there anyone who's attending our meeting today who would like to speak in either for or against, or neither for nor against? If so, please raise your hand in our area over here to do that. And we'll start with Iman Dundon. I'm sure I did not do that correctly. I'll bring you over if I can. Hold on. Thank you, Senator Chipman.
Great, thank you.
Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Hello, Senator Breen, Representative Person, members of the committee. My name is Eamon Dundon, and I'm the Director of Advocacy at the Portland Regional Chamber of Commerce. I'm here today to express our organization's strong support for LD 987 to fund and facilitate the crucial dredging and CAD-cell construction project in Portland Harbor. This bond will ensure the continued viability of the marine economy in Portland Harbor, promote water quality, and aid greatly in the economic growth of our state. While the Port of Portland is the second largest seaport in New England, that could soon slip if not for an investment like this in the future of the port. Over the past 70 years, a generational debt has built up as Portland Harbor piers have gone undredged, filling them with sediments that are in many cases toxic, leading water depths to decrease, thus limiting the amount of berthing space for our working waterfront. In the coming years, if this problem is not addressed, many piers and channels on both sides of the harbor will become impassable to commercial and recreational vessels, delivering a devastating blow to one of our state's most iconic and productive ports. In addition, valuable public access points at East End, Ocean Gateway, the Amethyst Lot, Main State Pier, and the Portland Fish Pier could become unusable if this pressing issue is not addressed. According to a recent study, Portland Harbor generates about $800 million of total economic output that can be tied to either directly or indirectly to our working waterfront and the commercial and recreational activities it supports. This project in question will support many businesses in our waterfront area, thousands of jobs, and much of the overall economic output of the harbor at large. Fishermen are a key part of this economic picture, and in Portland Harbor, they employ over 500 people with 48 million pounds of annual landings. As sediments continue to build up in the harbor and whittle away at the already strained supply of berthing space, pier owners will have to turn away from marine industries to afford the maintenance of their properties, favoring land uses like office and retail over our iconic marine industries. This project also delivers on key environmental goals by reducing pollution in Casco Bay. Unfortunately, due to heavy industrial uses over time, including sugaries, canneries, and coal facilities, toxic sediments have built up in these areas that, while no fault of the current responsible property owners, pose an unacceptable environmental risk to what should be pristine Maine waters. Notably, while we support this project primarily through an economic lens, the Friends of Casco Bay and other environmental groups support it, indicating a win-win for the economic and environmental health of our region. Impressive collaboration has been shown between the cities of South Portland and Portland, other government agencies like MDOT, and the business and environmental organizations. This has put the project in a perfect place for success, with all the necessary design and permits in hand, making this truly a shovel-ready endeavor. I thank you for your time today, and on behalf of the Portland business community, I urge your strong support for this project that is so critical to the economy, history, and environmental health of our state. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the testimony. Are there any questions for Mr. Dundon? I'm not seeing any. We so appreciate you being here. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
The next person we'll bring over is Kevin Battle. Is this the former good representative, maybe?
I think, am I on now?
You are. Welcome.
Hey.
Nice to see you.
There's a high school kid when I need
Look
one.
at that beard.
Hey, you like it?
The COVID beards, right?
That's the COVID beard. Hey, there you go. A little darkening, we can be twinsies.
Well, it's great to see you. Thank you so much for being here. Look forward to hearing your testimony.
Great to see everybody. Greetings, Senator Breen and Representative Pierce. And distinguished members of the Appropriations and Finance Affairs Committee. I'm Kevin Battle. I'm the Portland Harbor Master. And to start with, I just want to explain, there we go. Sorry, I do apologize for that.
No worries.
Portland Harbor is not just the city of Portland, okay? It covers Portland, South Portland, and southern Casco Bay. It is extreme economical importance to the state of Maine. It's the maritime gateway to the state of Maine. We get products come through here from via Iceland, throughout all of Europe. The chances are that somewhere you'll be using something today that probably came imported through the port itself. We have a major fishing industry here. We have we're the number 2 fuel transfer port on the East Coast between jet fuel, home heating oils, and just about every fuel imaginable. Most of them are familiar with the Canadian pipeline. Okay, we actually have 5 pipelines here in Portland. Pipelines for jet fuel, for gasoline, and again, like I said, home heating oil and tar for road pavement. We are the northernmost ice-free port on the East Coast. Every port north of us freezes up. If you remember in the news a couple of years ago, they were claiming with global warming, they tend to take ships up into northern Canada to places, and it didn't work. They ended up getting stuck and had some major maritime rescues to get the crews off of them and get them supplied. So I can't emphasize enough. Okay, this is very important to the harbor, and very important to the commerce, the overall commerce of the state of Maine. Instead of me sitting here babbling and repeating what's already been said, I'll answer any questions anybody had, and if anybody's ever in Portland, I'll gladly give you a tour of the harbor and show you exactly what's what and around.
Well, thank you so much for your testimony. Are there any good questions for the harbor master? I do not see any. We appreciate you being here today. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Next, we have Bill Needleman and then Stephen DeMillo. Mr. Needleman, welcome.
Thank you, Chair. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yep.
Well, thank you very much. And I'm going to try not to repeat the excellent introduction by Senator Chipman and the comments by previous speakers, and apologize if there is any restatement, but we are excited to testify in behalf in support of LD 987 to the Appropriations and Financial Affairs Committee, and really appreciate this opportunity. Portland Harbor, as has been noted, is a major economic generator of statewide significance. I am the waterfront coordinator with the city of Portland, Maine. I work with our economic development and housing department, and I've been in this role for a little over 7 years. And during the entirety of that time, I've been working on this specific project, not exclusively, but extensively. The dredging of Portland Harbor, the piers and wharves themselves, is of critical importance to our working waterfront on both sides of the Fore River. As Mr. Dundon noted, a recent economic assessment has generated some pretty significant numbers. Over $800 million a year in total economic output is a significant driver. And the foundation of that number is vessel berthing and vessel support. If we can't bring a boat alongside at full tide, our piers and wharves and marinas have nothing to offer the marine economy. It's an existential issue for any harbor, and every harbor has to address dredging issues. It is putting a roof on your house, it's repaving a road. These are transportation and economic assets that require maintenance. The problem that we have run into is the pollution. Many of our larger facilities in the channel itself have been dredged over the years, and the new sediments that come down the Fore River are clean enough for open water disposal and at a reasonable economic cost. The piers and wharves themselves are the orphans. They are the ones that have been left out, and they suffer from these legacy pollutants that have precluded reasonable financial return if they were to bring those sediments to upland disposal sites. It's simply not feasible. Other communities in New England have addressed these issues through the CAD cell development. A CAD cell is essentially just a deep hole dredged into the harbor bottom, but it does an excellent job of sequestering polluted materials so they don't migrate out. And it is a permanent solution. And previous experience from our larger petroleum berths and the channel suggests that new sediments will be clean enough for open water disposal. So this is a one and done. This is an opportunity for us to address the problems of the past and giving us opportunities for the future. Berthing is shrinking in Portland Harbor. The central waterfront alone, which is the home to our fishing and our tourism fleet, has lost over 26% of total commercial berthing, 3,000 linear feet. To build 3,000 linear feet of commercial dockage would cost more than we're asking for in this bond. This would be returning that amount of berthing into service, but it would also be taking currently shallow water berths and improving them to deeper service, serving a wider range of vessels and a greater degree of economic activity. Pardon me while I find my spot again. The CAD technology that we're proposing has a proven track record. It's been used extensively in Boston Harbor, Providence Harbor, New Bedford Harbor for far worse sediments. So this is both an economically responsible project, it's an environmentally responsible project, and probably the only solution that we're going to have for this problem. The permits necessary for a project like this are extensive, and they take into account the environmental needs of the harbor, the fishing needs of the harbor, and the social needs of the harbor. Those permits are in hand. The last permit to be issued by the Army Corps of Engineers will be issued within a period of days. Maine State DEP has issued the full range of permits. We are ready. And the final issue that we need to deal with is funding. We have applied for federal grants last year. We were not successful. In the federal programs that we will continue to apply for, we compete against urban transportation, public transit, bridges in the largest urban environments in the United States. Portland Harbor is incredibly important to Maine, but for us to compete against the New Yorks, the Los Angeleses, and the Miamis puts us at a significant disadvantage just because of the numbers of people served by those facilities. And so we look at bond funding through the state of Maine as potentially the only viable option, while we will continue to pursue other means, and happy to answer any questions about the relationship between our current applications with federal sources and this bond request. Happy to answer any other questions about the technical aspects, and look forward to hearing the committee's results and work. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for the testimony. We do have a couple hands raised. I'll start with Senator Breen and then Representative Hymanson.
Good morning, Mr. Needleman. Thank you for coming. Can you tell us if there's any, or can you explain a little bit more about the pollutants in the sediment and whether there are any upstream parties who may have been responsible for those pollutants, if there's any recourse? I think if I heard you correctly, and you feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but there's polluted sediment coming down the Fore River, and that's part of what's causing this need for this dredging. So I'm trying to figure out if there's an obligation on the part of any of the people up the river, any of those parties, to do any mitigation, that sort of thing.
It's an excellent question, Senator Breen. Thank you for asking. We don't have any identified current sources of point source pollution that we can look to for to help us address the financial costs associated. There are legacy industries that are long gone. Coal was a major commodity moved through the Port of Portland, as was coal gasification. And so there are coal tars, there's PAHs, there are residuals from pesticides which are no longer legal that remain in the sediments from decades past. Current sources of pollution are more point source, non-point source pollutions. This is stormwater and runoff from the urban environment, car tires, asphalt. As I said, our current experience has been that, thank you, Senator Muskie and the Clean Water Act, that the more recent sediments do tend to clean over time and have been tested as reasonable for open water disposal, which is the financially reasonable way to deal with dredged sediments typically. That's what we've done for the harbor channel with the Army Corps of Engineers. Those materials have gone to sea at licensed disposal sites after extensive testing. And that's been done twice within the last 20 years. It's these legacy contaminants that we really need to address. And as the city of Portland and the city of South Portland engage in more rigorous street cleaning and maintenance of our catch basins and the housekeeping that makes urban runoffs safer and cleaner, we anticipate that we will not have this same condition moving forward.
Just one thing. So is that why you say one and done, that there's a level of contamination here that won't be repeated in your estimation?
Sometimes we call them the bad old days. I mean, there have been oil spills in the past. There were just the chemicals used in the maintenance of vessels and the industries themselves that no longer occupy our piers. There were multiple regional scale coal pockets, as well as coal gasification, as I noted before, and heavy manufacturing on the piers and wharves, which are now occupied by fishing.
Okay, thank you.
Representative Hymanson.
Thank you. My concern too, and Senator Breen asked my question about other sources of funding and mitigation. I understand from you there's no point source to identify, but I'd like to know more about the CAD, the Confined Aquatic Disposal Cell, and I'm happy to hear that it's what was used in Boston Harbor, so that vets it a bit for me. But do you have some information about it you could share? So it's a deep hole that all of this is dumped into and then capped off, kind of like a landfill?
Very much like that. The experience in Boston Harbor, where they have, I think, over a dozen CAD cells. There are 2 in Providence Harbor and and multiple in New Bedford Harbor. New Bedford Harbor was a Superfund site, and they were dealing with dioxins and PCBs, very toxic materials, which we're not dealing with in any significant amounts in Portland Harbor. And so the technology itself has shown to be very effective. The location for the CAD cell, as designed for Portland Harbor, is towards the middle of the channel, near the channel on the South Portland side, between 2 dredged areas and shallow water intertidal. It's not an area that's fished extensively, if at all. It is not home to any endangered species or critical habitat for fish. It's largely occupied by European oysters and green crabs, both invasive species brought here. So we found a good site. That site is supported by the Friends of Casco Bay Estuary Partnership, and the Maine Lobstermen's Union, who all participated in the selection of that site. It's about a 50-foot deep hole that covers a total of 9 acres. It's big. That's why this thing is so expensive. That material is clean. That material can go to sea for typical open water disposal. And then material would be dredged. It will be dredged by typical mechanical removal, backhoes on barges in the small areas, larger clamshell dropped dredges from cranes and barges for the larger areas, be brought into a new channel, which will be dredged in to provide access to the CAD, placed in the bottom of the CAD. And then when all is said and done, that new access channel will be provided with a berm to separate it from the channel. And we anticipate that natural sedimentation will cap it on its own. The reason why we're in this issue, having these problems, is because harbors are sedimentary environments. Material drops out of the water. So we can use that natural process to cap the material without having to intervene and bring additional material in. One of the experiences that we've learned from in Boston Harbor is by bringing material in to cap a facility, you can actually resuspend those sediments into the water column. And so doing as little as possible once that material has been set there is what we've been approved for through DEP and the Army Corps of Engineers. It will be capped, but it'll be capped naturally by just leaving it alone.
It sounds like you've done a good job bringing in stakeholders. Is there any group that you haven't brought in that needs to be brought in? I'm looking for dissident voices that.
Yeah, we've tried to beat the bushes to find out who's interested and who's not. Like I said, we've worked with our fisheries community, the pier owners themselves. We've been in front of the city councils of both Portland and South Portland multiple times. Those are public meetings that have been well advertised. We've done our best to put out press releases. We've been in the paper, the Portland Press Herald and the Portland Phoenix and other publications multiple times, and been on televised news media as much as we can. We think that people know about this if they're paying any attention whatsoever. And we also, and we have not found any opposition to this. We certainly had skepticism, and we were challenged to answer questions from folks like yourselves, especially at the South Portland City Council, who's very sensitive to these environmental issues, and we now have their support.
One more question.
Sure.
About the federal funding. So can you tell us where you are with federal funding and what your chances are? And
the sequence of this is that last year we applied for build funding. I can't remember the spelling of the acronym at this point, but that was the old Tiger funds, large scale transportation funds. We were not successful, though we thought was an excellent application. And we do plan to resubmit an application that will be due as soon as this July, with an award in potentially in September. If federal funds were to be available on the basis of that application, we would look to modify how much money we'd be getting from the state. I mean, it's just, but we don't have the luxury of being linear in this, because we now have our permits in hand. Those permits have a shelf life. And if we don't, and this is a multi-year project, it'll take a year to build the CAD and then multiple years to dredge out these 32 different properties. And the complexity of that requires that we're going to be going to the outside edge of our permit window. So we need to get this funding nailed down as soon as possible. So we are taking a parallel approach. I thank the Portland Harbor Commission and Senator Chipman for providing the leadership to bring this to the committee. The city of Portland was we were going to take the wait and see approach with federal funding and then come to the Appropriations Committee next year if we were not successful. But the urgency of this dictates that we take a parallel course. And we are now, as a city with a city manager and our legislative committee at the city council, supportive of moving forward on a parallel track.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your answers.
Representative Arata.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Mr. Needleman, for being here this morning.
Thank you.
My last term there was a bond package, a transportation package, which included certain improvements to the Portland waterfront. Why wasn't this project prioritized? It sounds like this is more of an urgent need than the one that was funded.
I'm not sure exactly which projects were included within that bond, whether or not those were with the Maine Port Authority. That's, without knowing precisely which projects we're talking about, there have been major investments in Portland Harbor, and they're critical. The Maine Port Authority and work at the International Marine Terminal is what has been able to bring and keep AIMSCIP as our constant liner service to Northern Europe and Iceland. That's been a tremendous economic benefit to the port and to the region, and we expect that that's going to be a continued priority. We have to chew gum and walk at the same time. We have to continue to build the business of Portland Harbor while we look at making investments. The International Marine Terminal is a public facility. Many of the piers and wharves that we're looking to dredge now they're both public and private. They are also at different scales. So it's a very diverse place, and there's a lot of different types of activity that constitute marine commerce in Portland Harbor, and there are multiple needs. This is the need that's coming forward right now, and we're really asking for the committee's support.
May I ask a follow-up?
Of course.
So if you were to be approached regarding the transportation bond this session, would you place this at the highest priority as far as the Portland waterfront's needs, or are there other priorities as well?
Since that's not a question that has come back before our city council, it's a policy level answer that you're looking for, and I feel as though I would need to go back to leadership to talk about making choices such as that. And we are also talking about different governmental entities that are making requests. We have state port authorities, the State Department of Transportation, the Portland Harbor Commission, which is a regional body between the two city governments, but is a creature of the state. And then there's the city itself. And so making those, there really isn't a structure to prioritize between those many different entities. If asked to, we'd figure out how to do it. But that's really not I'd have to go back to my council to understand, where the apples and oranges are and how to weigh between them. And I'm not trying to dodge your question. I just don't know that I can provide an answer.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Needleman? Seeing none, thank you so much for your time.
Greatly appreciate your time. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Next, we have Stephen DeMillo and then Dan Haley. Welcome, Mr. DeMillo. Oh, there we are. Thank you for being here. Look forward to hearing your testimony.
Thank you, Representative Pierce, and thank you to you. Thank you to Senator Breen. Special thanks to Senator Chipman for bringing this bond issue to the committee. We're looking for support for LD 987 to ensure the business Portland Harbor continues on. We want to make sure that, so I represent my family we operate Long Wharf. I have a brother that runs another wharf down the road, which is Merrill's Wharf, excuse me. The name escapes me, but anyways, we have a big financial commitment to the Portland Harbor. We have commercial docking space. We have recreational marinas. I also want to point out that this is just not a Portland, even though there's a lot of Portland representatives here. This is a South Portland and Portland combined effort. Portland Harbor is the lifeline to the world, to the marine economy, of which Portland has really worked hard. Both the city, state, and individual businesses have worked hard to put Portland on the map. AIM-SCIP and its connection to Iceland and Europe has just been a huge economic boom for this area. The other things that were mentioned, just will reiterate the clean water aspects of the dredge project have been heralded by all the environmental groups that do work and steward our harbor, and those are all just positive things. And then I would also echo the jobs on the working waterfront and how this will help. I know sometimes people see my name and they think a restaurant, but there's a lot of commercial activity that goes on in our pier, and also the pier my brother owns. I'm available for any questions.
Thank you so much for the testimony. I'll leave it to you and your brother with couldn't remember the name. That'll be an interesting family dinner, I'm sure. Any questions for Mr. DeMillo? I don't see any. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.
And next we have Dan Haley. Before Mr. Haley gets started, if anyone else wants to testify on LD 987 who's attending today, please raise your hand so we know you want to get in the queue. Welcome. Thank you for being here.
Hey, good morning. I had all kinds of prepared remarks, and they've been all well covered by Bill Niederman, the Chamber, Steve DeMello. Basically, this is a project that has a outstanding collaborative effort over the years. And it actually goes over a decade that I've been involved in it. And the Portland Harbor Commission is established by Maine special law. And we represent the harbor, and navigational safety and the commerce of the harbor is kind of our mission. And I'm very involved in this. We received the first brownfield grant for underwater, and got a lot of the testing done in preparation for putting in the permits. As Bill said, it's voluminous. I've got a couple of 4-inch binders sitting around my house here that cover the permitting process and the amount of effort that's gone into it. And the thing with this particular project is, if these businesses are not helped, then it's not like any other business that's on Main Street. It has nowhere to move. These jobs are contingent upon the water being there. And if the water's gone, the berthing's gone, then they have nowhere to go other than to a different state or into a different field. So it's a very important issue for the individuals on the waterfront. And environmentally speaking, you've heard a lot of it. I've learned a lot in this. And we've actually, the Harbor Commission has established an eelgrass mitigation ruling on this process, so that all of our moorings, 900 plus in Portland Harbor, any of those that are in eelgrass will have to go with a conservation mooring, which will help to reestablish the eelgrass beds, which are very important in the ecological system within the Casco Bay. So there's real pluses in this project going on. And the only thing that's really needed, like any Munjoy Hillboy would say, is a couple of bucks to make it right. And that's why we're before you to look at the funding. And Bill walked the path on the funding, and I kind of pushed that we go with a bond issue to have that parallel path, because last time we thought that we had everything in place for the federal funding, and then it was not there. And we're going to go with that same process again this time. But if it's not there, we don't want to be delayed another year waiting for it. I think the people in the state of Maine would support the bill, especially if it's rolled in with some bills for the county and other great spots in Maine. So I don't know how it fares on its own, but it certainly infects the entire state. And again, they can't go anywhere else. If we don't take care of it here, can't move it anywhere. And you're talking $1 billion industry, talking a lot of immigrant communities that work in the fishing industry and in the processing plants. And there's a lot of jobs being created every day with that. And as you know, in Portland, we have a fairly large immigrant population in comparison to what we've had before. And there's a lot of them working within the fishing industry on the Portland waterfront. So I appreciate your support of LD 987. I really appreciate the questions that you asked the speakers, and look forward to seeing how the process goes. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. We do have a couple of questions for you, Representative Hymanson and then Senator Breen.
Thanks for being here. Can you tell us the timing of the federal grant? When did you hear that you didn't get that? How long ago was that?
I think it was May of last year.
Okay, so relatively recent. And those are the permits that you're carrying forward. Do you know when they expire? Some of
They're in for 5 years once they're issued. The Army Corps of Engineers is permits are good for 5 years.
Okay.
So it's the permit for the CAD cell has been issued, and the permit for the dredging portion, which is sponsored by the Harbor Commission, will be within the next few days. That should be. And then that's going to start the clock running. And then to apply for the RAISE grant, which used to be the Build and the Tiger in the old days, then that will be in the end of May. We'll be putting all the paperwork together. It goes out in June, and they are supposed to give an answer back in September. And I don't know how that works as far as on getting it on the ballot or modifying it or removing it or whatever, but it's critical that we have this option in here, because we're not the only bill in Maine, not the only program looking for funding under the RAISE grant. So you may see something of that. I don't know how public any of that is, but so we might be competing with ourselves in a couple of cases here. So,
well, thank you very much for your answer.
Senator Breen.
Mr. Haley, thanks for joining us. I wanted to know if you are aware that all the counties in Maine are receiving substantial federal funding through the American Recovery Plan Act, and that Cumberland County will be receiving substantial new one-time federal funds. So just in the spirit of, pursuing all possibilities, and sometimes these projects wind up as a collaboration of different funding partners. I just wanted to put that on your radar. And if you want, either you or I'm sure Senator Chipman, one of us can get you the exact amount that Cumberland County will be getting.
That was going to be my question, a little procedures. Appreciate the heads up, and we'll certainly explore that. And there was one announced a couple of weeks in the paper where the nonprofit got a lot of money and stuff. And I was saying, hey, is that where we fit? So be happy to get that information.
Great.
Thank you, Senator Breen. Any other questions for Mr. Haley? I'm not seeing any. We appreciate you being here. Thank you so much.
I appreciate the time and all you're doing. And this virtual stuff, as I run my meetings and you run yours, it's not the easiest way. But I think in the end, it's probably going to be better for public input. But time will tell all these changes in the world we're creating. And again, thank you.
Well, we certainly have a lot of people participating from the public. Thank you for being here. So. Is there anyone else who's attending the meeting today who'd like to speak on LD 987? Please raise your hand in our attendee group. I am not seeing anybody raise their hand. So I will close the public hearing on LD 987 and open the public hearing on LD 373, which is a bill by Senator Claxton. And we'll welcome Senator Claxton to our group. Senator, how are you this morning?
I'm fine, recovering from yesterday. Thank you.
Well, welcome. We look forward to hearing your testimony.
Thank you very much, Chair Breen and Chair Pearce, distinguished members of the Appropriations and Financial Affairs Committee. I'm Ned Claxton, and I'm honored to represent the residents of Auburn, Poland, Minot, Mechanic Falls, and New Gloucester in Senate District 20. I'm here today to introduce LD 373, an act to authorize a general fund bond issue to invest in Maine's railroad infrastructure. This will sound a lot like a bill I introduced in the last session. Maine has a great history of railroads, with trains running all over southern Maine, the coast, to Bangor, and across Aroostook County. We had a vibrant system of railroads that connected people and businesses with the efficiency of rail. Today, however, passenger rail service goes only as far north as Brunswick, and freight service is limited compared to what it used to be. It's time we begin to make a substantial investment in rail once again. And it seemed with low interest rates that it was a good idea. And now with infrastructure and the possibility that this could be used as matching funds, it sounds even better to me. Railroads not only provide a method for efficient movement of people and goods, but are kinder to the environment as well when compared to individual travel and transport of goods. Utilizing rail allows roads and highways to become less congested while also reducing the wear and tear on those roads and leading to less maintenance and repair. This bond is not specific for one rail corridor. Should it be passed, it will be utilized to make the best use of existing infrastructure while also expanding it. Where there is passenger rail, we can look to expand access to businesses looking to ship their goods by train. Where there is strictly freight rail, we can look to expand the options for Mainers and tourists alike who are looking to travel between our major cities. Simply put, rail is a smart investment for the people of Maine. When we think about expanding our industries, whether it be agricultural or otherwise, we must look for the most efficient ways to export Maine products we are proud of. Additionally, when we look to expand the options for tourists and Mainers alike to travel across our state and to grow our great city centers, rail should be in the mix of options. Thank you for your time and consideration. I'd be happy to answer any questions as I can.
Thank you, Senator. Appreciate you being here. And we do have Representative Arata has a question for you.
Good morning, Senator Claxton. It's nice to see you representing me. I was just wondering if you know of any passenger rail services in the United States or even maybe elsewhere that break even or make a profit every year so that taxpayers don't have to continue to subsidize them.
My immediate answer, thank you, and good morning to you, Representative Arata. My immediate answer is no, I don't know. I think of them more as infrastructure such as airports, which get huge amounts of federal money, or highways, which are built with federal money, and not local efforts that are self-sustaining. But I'm going to do some homework.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Senator Claxton? Seeing none, thank you for providing the opening testimony and sponsoring this bill. We next
Pleasure to see
have
some familiar faces. Thank you.
Great to see you too. I believe Representative Cloutier is providing testimony on this bill. Representative Cloutier?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, Senator Breen, Representative Pearce, and fellow members of the Appropriations and Financial Affairs Committee. As you all know, but others may not since I came in a little bit late this morning, I am Kristen Cloutier, and I proudly represent House District 60, which is part of my hometown of Lewiston. I should also disclose that I am a member of the Lewiston-Auburn Railroad Board of Directors, although I'm not speaking to you today in that capacity. I'm here today in support of LD 373, an act to authorize a general fund bond issue to invest in Maine's railroad infrastructure. For many years, our state has considered and discussed the need to invest in our rail system, but little progress has been made. Freight and passenger rail services are important elements in any state's transportation network. They provide safe and efficient movement of people and goods while minimizing the impacts of transportation-related fuel consumption and air pollution. The funds provided by this bill would be invested directly into our communities, with priority given to railroad track corridors that could support passenger and freight intermodal operations and enhance the movement of agricultural products, an invaluable industry to our state. These funds will also enable our state's lumber, farming, and natural resources industries access to new markets. In addition to these benefits, investing in our railroad infrastructure would better connect our communities, allowing for increased mobility of people and freight. The utilization of such a system would support our ongoing workforce development efforts, our tourism industry, and our overall economy, all while reducing the climate-changing effects of transportation on our planet. Rail expansion is critical to the health of our state's economic and environmental future. With the federal government poised to assist states in expanding their transportation infrastructures, now is the time to act. I hope you will join me in supporting LD 373 and in finally making a real investment in Maine's rail system. Thank you for your time, and I am happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Representative. Appreciate your testimony. We have two people with their hands up. We'll start with Representative Fay and then Representative Arata.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Representative Cloutier. And this is a general question, which I'd just love to have a little bit more information on. In terms of the inventory of CO2 emissions reduction, I would be really interested in better understanding how what the rate of reduction might be in switching from overland transport, from truck transport, et cetera, to rail. Because I know that transportation emissions is one of the biggest ways that Maine contributes to CO2 emissions. So for anyone out there in the world who has some studies about that, I'd love to have that info. Thanks.
So I don't have an answer for that right now, but I can definitely make some requests of some folks for you. Thank you, Representative Fay.
Representative Arata.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Nice to see you, Representative Cloutier. I have the same question for you as I had for Senator Claxton. Are you aware of any passenger rail systems that either break even or make a profit? And I have a second part to that. If so, what is the daily ridership required in order to break even and not continuing to not have to continue to subsidize a passenger rail system?
So thank you for the question, Representative Arata, and it's good to see you too. I would give you the same answer that he did, and I would defer to the folks that he's probably going to follow up with to get you that information.
Thank you.
Any other questions for the good representative? Representative Corey.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I'm looking at the price or the cost of this bond right now, and it says $50 million. Do you know what it costs to lay a mile of rail? And I'm wondering, are we talking about, when we're talking about corridors like this, and especially passenger rail, are we talking about side rail, or are we talking about single track rail? Thank you.
So that sounds like a question for the sponsor to me. So I would maybe put that on a list of questions to ask during the work session.
I actually see the sponsor has his hand up, so why don't I bring him over? He might be able to answer that question for us, since he's still here. Senator Claxton, thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity to try and answer a couple of questions. To Representative Arata, we're not talking only about passenger, which is somewhat less likely to break even. We're also talking about freight and how important that is. And I will do the homework to find out the differences in costs. In terms of the miles, given the number of track miles that already exist in the state, we're talking about rehabbing a mile of rail, not building new roads, railroads. So I've been told that to allow higher speed freight train speeds, you'd spend about $1 million a mile. So the intent of this bond really was not to make a particular portion of rail usable, but to use potentially as seed money or earnest money in response to much bigger dollar amounts. But none of the projects were ready to be built out right out. So it's about $1 million a mile. And much of that would be to create periodic second lines so that trains can pull off and let another train go by, as opposed to creating parallel tracks everywhere.
All set, Representative Corey?
Yeah, I mean, I guess that just, changes a question. So we would actually be talking about changing the class of some of this rail while we're talking about it. The bill talks about, both freight and passenger rail, intermodal rail. So I guess the question is that, some of this is probably definitely, freight rail right now, but you talked about the speed change in freight rail, and then also, the potential of passenger, and then rehabbing older rail. So we would be changing the class of the rail is what it sounds like. What class are we shooting for here? Are we shooting for class 1, class 2?
I can't speak knowledgeably to that, but I will do some homework. And again, because it's not specifically attached to a project or an effort, I think it would depend upon where we would get the most bang for our buck. I know that one of the biggest challenges for Maine producers is getting their product to market. And if we can help them, that's an obvious place to start. So I think this is partly a business investment, economic development. Based on what I know about the Lewiston Auburn line related to passenger, I think passenger rail is much less likely to make sense anytime soon for places where, maybe extending beyond Brunswick would make sense, but I have a hard time believing that freight's not the better investment in the meantime, although I'm leaving myself open to learning about whether we could do passenger or not.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Appreciate you being over here. Any other questions for Representative Cloutier or Senator Claxton? Thank you so much for your testimony. Next, we have Senator Baldacci would like to testify on this bill. Senator Claxton, I'm just going to keep you here in case something pops up. If that's okay. Senator Baldacci, are you there? You are. Welcome.
Welcome, and thank you, Chairperson. Thank you, Senator Breen, and distinguished members of the Appropriations Committee. I just wanted to speak in support of this. I'm not listed as a co-sponsor, but I do support passenger rail in general, and Senator Claxton's efforts in particular in terms of promoting it statewide. I'm working on separate passenger rail bills, but I wanted to let the Appropriations Committee know this is really a debate that's going on statewide. The cities of Bangor and Brewer, the city of Waterville have all endorsed passenger rail. We have the tracks right up through the St. John Valley. Passenger rail has been proven to provide environmental benefit as well as economic development benefit. I wanted to let the Appropriations Committee know I have spoken with the president of Pan Am, and he and the federal government have a $75 million upgrade going on. Senator Collins secured about $35 million in funding, and the company has to match that. That is to upgrade all the rail lines from Mattawamkeag, which I know some people might not know, but north of Old Town, all the way through Bangor, all the way through Waterville, all the way through to Brunswick. $75 million is going to be invested, and the funds have already been set aside for that to upgrade it to deal with heavier freight. I would concur with Senator Claxton's point that freight and passenger rail can go together. It's more economically feasible that way. It will have a greater economic development impact also. So there are federal resources. I see this money that, if it is approved, to be leveraged with federal resources. I think it's appropriate that we connect the whole state. I know that Bangor and Lewiston Auburn are in different sections of that state, but we are working together in terms of supporting passenger rail. I just wanted to let the committee know about those developments, and I think how important it is for our region. The 2nd district is one of the poorest districts in the state of Maine and one of the most rural, where transportation connections are difficult. If we can promote economic development with clean energy and transportation and connectiveness, it will help all of us be stronger economically. And I appreciate your consideration.
Thank you so much for your testimony, Senator. Are there any questions for Senator Baldacci by any members of the committee?
Thank you very
I don't
much.
see any. Appreciate you being here today.
Yep.
Is there anyone else attending the meeting today that would like to speak on LD 373? If so, please raise your hand in the attendee slot. I do not see any other hand raised, so thank you, Senator Claxton. Appreciate you being here and coming back and answering questions. And we'll see you soon. Take care. I'm going to close the public hearing on LD 373 and open the public hearing on LD 1086. Representative Bailey is the sponsor of this bill, and I'm bringing him on over. While he joins us, I see that Representative Martin has joined the committee today. Would you like to introduce yourself, Representative Martin?
Thank you. Yeah, John Martin, House District 151, Northwestern Aroostook County, and pleased to be here.
Glad you're here. And I think when people were moving around in the attendee, I brought over the wrong person. So now I see Representative Bailey is here.
I need to turn on my video and my audio. So here I am.
We can hear you and see you. So welcome.
Great. It's great to be here today. And I missed saying this on Tuesday when I was before you, and I didn't get a chance to say it to him yesterday, but Representative Martin, Mr. Speaker, it's very good to see you. So Senator Breen, Representative First, and distinguished members of AFA, thank you very much for the opportunity to present LD 1086, an act to authorize a general fund bond issue to upgrade customs facilities at the Portland International Jetport and the Bangor International Airport to promote international tourism and commerce, which will make the following critical investments in Maine's transportation and economic infrastructure. The first part is a $7 million fund to construct the FIS customs facility at the Portland International Jetport to allow for international commercial passenger service. And the second part is a $7 million investment to construct a customs bonded temperature controlled freight warehouse at the Bangor International Airport to allow for warehousing of international commercial cargo and exportation of Maine products around the world. These are strategic investments in Maine's anchor aviation facilities that will benefit every region of our state. Hotels, restaurants, bars, event venues, and the entire hospitality industry across Maine will benefit from the influx of thousands of new international tourists. Maine businesses will benefit from the new options to export products around the world. These affordable and shovel-ready investments in Maine's transportation and economic development infrastructure projects will generate significant returns on investments for Maine taxpayers. Consider the new economic activity generated from the doors that these projects would open to connect Maine to the world, the existing and new jobs supported, and the revenues collected from taxes and fees on airport travel and shipping, rental cars, meals and lodging, sales of goods, gas purchases, and so on. We need to diversify our tourism economy and promote exports. Maine's tourism economy is heavily reliant on domestic leisure travel. We have an opportunity with the Jetport investment to diversify our tourism portfolio by adding international travel. Constructing a customs bonded warehouse at the Bangor Airport would create new opportunities for Maine businesses to export their products around the world, including creating some significant cost savings for those who no longer need to truck product to Boston or New York for export. Bangor would put Maine on the map as a key ergo link to Europe, China, and the entire world, and create significant opportunities for the airport with the longest runway in the northeastern US to become a hub for international commercial cargo traffic. As a result of the investment in a FIS customs facility at the jetport, Iceland Air could operate twice weekly commercial passenger service between Portland and Reykjavik, establishing a direct link from Maine to Europe with connections to destinations across the European continent. Porter Airlines could establish a quality, oh, I lost my internet, hold on. There we go. Porter Airlines could establish affordable commercial passenger service between Portland and Toronto, Air Liaison service to Quebec City, Elite Airways services to destinations in the Canadian Maritime. Norwegian Airlines could operate affordable flights between Portland and the United Kingdom, establishing yet another direct link to Europe and beyond. And Spirit Airlines could operate affordable flights between Portland and Mexico, inviting the middle class from that country to visit and spend money in America's vacation land. As a result of the investment in a customs bonded warehouse at the Bangor airport, Korean Airlines could more quickly ship Maine seafood products to markets in Asia. FedEx could easily and more cost effectively ship Maine wood products to Europe, and UPS could deliver aircraft parts to China. Keeping and getting young people living and working in Maine has got to be a priority for all of us, and I believe it is. Generation Z and millennials are increasingly working from home in the new digital global economy. We have options about where to live, options that were not available to many of our parents and grandparents. When considering where to call home, we consider the walkability of communities, availability of local coffee shops and craft breweries, ease of ride sharing, and yes, the convenience of international travel opportunities. I want us to add nonstop flights to international destinations to our list of selling points to keep young Mainers living and working here, and to attract and retain skilled workers from around the world, where new flights create new links to welcome new Mainers. Increased opportunities for students and cultural exchange is also another benefit of these investments. The construction of an FIS custom facility at the jetport will allow Maine's educational institutions and museums to cultivate relationships with their counterparts in Ireland, England, Iceland, and in other Arctic nations with whom we've developed closer business ties and trade relationships over the past decade. Maine students will have more opportunities to study abroad in places where they will develop relationships and knowledge that will help them succeed and will benefit Maine in its quest to create new trade partnerships and become a place for international companies to invest. Active senior citizens who enjoy international travel will also benefit from a new service at the jetport. Finally, what happens at the jetport doesn't stay at the jetport. Adding international passenger service in Portland will increase the number of international tourists who visit Maine each year. The demand for domestic and international passenger service will rise, as will opportunities for domestic and international travel from Bangor, as well as opportunities for Presque Isle, Bar Harbor, and other destinations across Maine with airports. International passenger flights also carry freight, creating a synergy between these investments that will exponentially increase the value of these projects developed in tandem. For these reasons and many others that you will hear this morning, I ask that you support these investments in Maine's anchor aviation facilities. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you so much, Representative. Are there any questions for Representative Bailey? Not seeing any at the moment, so thank you so much for your testimony. We have a number of elected officials who want to testify on behalf of this, and we'll start with Representative Cardone.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I am a co-sponsor of this bond bill, and I'm not going to repeat what the primary sponsor has just so eloquently explained, and which I believe the people yet to come are going to explain in more detail. I simply want to say I am in full support of this bill. I see it as an essential part of the infrastructure and economic development of the entire state, not just the Portland area, not just the Bangor area, but as it's as important as any road or bridge into the economic infrastructure of the entire state and the development of our economy. And I also want to volunteer if, as our deliberations continue beyond today, if anyone has any questions or needs any further information, especially about the Bangor portion of this facility, but about anything affiliated with this bill, please don't hesitate to tag me. And I probably won't know the answer, but I will work to get the answer so that this bill can have your full consideration and you can have all the information that you need about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Cardone. Any questions for the good representative? Seeing none at this time, we know where to find you, so that's great. I see that Senator Sanborn is here and would like to testify on this bill, LD 1086. Welcome, Senator Sanborn.
Thank you, Representative Peirce, and thanks for allowing me to be here this morning. Let me just switch my screens here. I too am not going to read my written testimony, as I think Representative Bailey really explained all of the details extremely well as to what this bond is for and why it makes sense for the entire state, and as opposed to just the two geographic areas where our key airports are located. But what I wanted to highlight are a couple of points that my colleagues haven't talked about yet. The first is that we are, as we know, the oldest state in the country, and we know that we need to attract young people to live and work and raise their families in Maine. And these two investments in our airports would provide additional opportunities to attract folks to live in the state. And let me tell you a little bit about what that looks like. I think we have seen a paradigm shift, but I was actually lucky enough to live a little preview of this paradigm shift, which was that when I was an attorney in Boston, my family lived full-time in Maine. And so I was able to work remotely much of the time. This was about 10 years ago. 12 years ago. You know, long before we were doing a Zoom legislature because of the pandemic. But one of the reasons I was able to do that is that lots of the work that I had to do took place in Atlanta and in New York City. And I was able to fly directly to those places from the Portland Jetport and fly home directly back to Portland and not having to go to my Boston office in order to be able to travel to those client destinations. To add some Canadian cities and European cities to those links makes it all the more attractive for folks who can work in professional settings remotely to be able to live and work and raise their kids in Maine through the beauty of technology and then the access that we would be providing for those folks to travel directly to the places where they may need to visit clients and so forth. And then I just want to also highlight with my other hat on, my new life post working as an attorney jetting around the country. I work in the hospitality industry, and we know that tourism in Maine is an absolutely critical part of our economy, both in the summertime as people come to enjoy our coast and our mountains for hiking, and in the winter time, as we know that European skiers really do want to come. Folks want to come from the UK to patronize our ski areas. And if we're able to add this international customs facility in Portland, we're putting folks that much closer to being able to travel to Maine in order to enjoy our winter and summer tourism activities. Maine and the Portland area have been the #1 search terms on both Airbnb and Hopper, which is a flight search engine, over the last month or so. Just very exciting for our prospect in recovering from this pandemic. And the more different tourist economies that we can open up, the better. So allowing for these direct links to Canada and Europe through the Portland Jetport is a smart economic investment for the state of Maine that will have a broad reaching impact across the state. Thanks for listening to my testimony this morning, and I'd be happy to take any questions you might have.
Thank you, Senator. Appreciate you being here. Are there any questions for Senator Sanborn from the committee? I'm not seeing any, so we know where to find you as well. So thank you. Appreciate seeing you.
Thank you, Representative Pearce.
Bye-bye. I believe Senator Baldacci would also like to speak to this. Am I correct, Senator Baldacci? You're still there. Hold on. Ugh, where are you? There we go. I'm promoting you over. We see your square, but are you able to? There we are. You're still mic'd. There we go.
Sorry, it's a little slow transition.
No worries. Welcome back.
Thank you, Representative Pearce, Chair Pearce, and distinguished members of the committee. Thank you to Representative Kyle Bailey, and thank you to Representative Barbara Cardone and Senator Sanborn. Your leadership is very important on this issue. My name is Joe Baldacci. I'm state senator from District 9, which is the city of Bangor and the town of Herman. I'm here to speak in support of LD 1086, an act to authorize general fund bond issue to upgrade facilities in Portland and Bangor. As state senator from Bangor, I'm focusing a larger part of my testimony on how this bill impacts Bangor International Airport, as well as the economic impacts to our area. Bangor International Airport is not only a regional asset to the greater Bangor area, but serves as a vital piece of Maine's economic landscape. Close to 2,000 good-paying jobs are directly tied to the airport and the airport's economic activities. By supporting the addition of an international air freight customs bonded warehouse at Bangor International Airport, we are strengthening Bangor to be more strategically partner with other ports, land and sea, to provide a robust and integrated cargo infrastructure for the state, making us more attractive to local and international importers and exporters. A temperature-controlled international warehouse facility at BIA would provide not just a community asset, but a regional service that will support the state's entire economy with business from beyond our borders. The opportunities for international cargo will increase significantly, particularly with the portion of the facility to be used as a customs bonded warehouse controlled by U.S. Customs for the storage of imported goods. This facility will support Maine's export market to include seafood, flowers, pharmaceuticals, and perishable foods. Bangor International Airport's strategic location as the first stop in and last stop out on the Great Circle route gives us an advantage when looking to attract potential cargo flights wanting to carry more product and less fuel. But our efforts would be greatly strengthened with the addition of this international trade warehouse and the creation of many, many jobs in our area. I encourage you to vote to pass for this bill as a positive economic impact across the entire state. We'll be paying dividends for years to come. And I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate you being here. Any questions for Senator Baldacci? Seeing none, we appreciate you being here today with us. Take care. So if you'd like to testify on this bill, please raise your hand. We have Tony Caruso first coming over. And up after that will be Paul Bradbury and then Amon Dundon. Mr. Caruso, welcome.
And thank you. Good morning, Representative Pearce, Senator Breen, members of the Appropriations and Financial Affairs Committee. I'm Tony Caruso, and I'm currently serving as the Airport Director for Bangor International, and I represent the city of Bangor. And I do really appreciate this opportunity to speak to you this morning in support of LD 1086. This proposed bond will help provide critical investment in Maine's transportation infrastructure. The two projects identified will benefit Maine's hospitality industry and import-export industries across the entire state, spurring economic activity and job creation. Both Bangor and Portland are economic engines for two of the largest cities in Maine. Economic impact studies for both airports done by the Maine DOT back in 2017 show a combined economic impact of nearly 1.5 billion in supporting over 13,000 jobs. So it's critical for Maine businesses and citizens to have a robust connection to the national and global air transportation system. This can only be accomplished through continuous investment and support of our existing local aviation infrastructure. By supporting the addition of an international air freight and customs bonded warehouse at Bangor, we're strengthening this region to more strategically partner with other Maine ports, both land and sea, to provide a more robust and integrated cargo infrastructure for the state, which makes us more attractive to local, regional, national, and international importers and exporters. International trade is vitally important to our state's economic health. International trade supports over 176,000 jobs in Maine, and that's 1 in 5. And 85% of Maine exporters are small and medium-sized businesses. In 2020, Maine exported about $750 million worth of products, or about 1/3 of the total by air. And so since 2020 was anything but normal, looking at a 5-year average between 2015 and 2019 was just over 850 million. So about half of the air exports came from 3 sectors: semiconductors, aircraft and parts, and lobsters. The remainder is diversified across the state's industries. So 7 of the top 10 destinations in dollar value are in Asia. Canada, Germany, and the Netherlands are the other 3. So historically, about half of Maine's air cargo moves through Kennedy in New York, or Logan in Boston. Cleveland and New Orleans are next. A facility such as what we are proposing would help keep some of these products from going out of state prior to being shipped by air. This would allow businesses more flexibility and profitability in the end, as freshness and product quality are quite literally can come down to hours when you're considering perishable items. It would also increase direct jobs and revenue locally. Serving as Bangor's director for the past 9 years and as assistant director for a decade prior, I personally witnessed international air freight operations being handled elsewhere at other U.S. airports, as well as at Canadian airports. The lack of an international air freight warehouse with customs bonded facility has been an impediment to business. A recent example of lost business occurred this past month when a large foreign air cargo carrier had to relocate a freight operation to another state's airport because we lacked the proper facility. In addition, the airport was previously working with different Asian companies on different occasions that were interested in utilizing Bangor for exporting seafood to different locations within Asia. All companies conveyed Bangor's lack of a temperature-controlled international freight warehouse as a deciding factor to do business elsewhere, and they moved their operations to a Canadian airport. So as Senator Baldacci pointed out, Bangor's geographic strategic location as the first stop in, the last stop out on the Great Circle Route really does provide us with an advantage when you're looking to attract potential cargo flights, wanting to carry more product and less fuel. Also having the local Customs and Border Protection offices on site and an international air freight warehouse with a customs bonded facility only work to enhance this service, further even utilizing our existing free trade zone designation. So in closing, we're highly sensitive to the many issues in front of our legislature this session. We're willing to work on this project in phases that align with the state's infrastructure and transportation plan. I do thank you again for the opportunity to provide testimony this morning, and we encourage your support in this investment in both airports.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your testimony. Are there any questions for Mr. Caruso? I'm not seeing any. We appreciate you being here today. Thank you.
Thank you again.
Next, we have Paul Bradbury.
Good
Mr.
morning.
Welcome.
Sorry.
No worries. You're here.
Took just a second for the computer to load up. So good morning, Representative Peirce and distinguished members of the Joint Standing Committee on Appropriations and Financial Affairs. I'm pleased to be here and thank you for your time. My name is Paul Bradbury. I'm Airport Director for the Portland International Jetport, and I'm here on behalf of the City of Portland in support of LD 1086. The Portland International Jetport, as many may know, provides the state of Maine, quite simply a robust connection to the national air transportation system. In fact, this summer we'll have 9 airlines providing nonstop air service to 25 cities on 117 daily flights, as many airlines really focus on leisure this summer. So some brilliant good news for all of us in tourism and hospitality this summer as we look to this broad market and many of our airline partners really focusing on leisure as business traffic stays in the doldrums. So that is a great advantage to us, but there is one thing missing. We have exceptional service for a small metropolitan statistical area of just under 540,000, but what are we missing? We're missing that international connection, that ability to have federal inspection services and customs and border protection for scheduled flights internationally right here at Portland, Maine. I can say that in a normal pre-pandemic year, this FIS facility was included in our recent master plan and scheduled for construction in 2020. But as we all know, that became impossible with the pandemic and the significant reduction in passengers and revenues we experienced in the pandemic. So we reached out and looked at other opportunities to make this project a reality, which is why I'm here for you today. So the ability to process commercial international flights will allow the Jetport to provide the best possible connections to Maine, to the world's air transportation system for our residents and visitors. The FIS facility can provide many new air service opportunities, including, and some of these were mentioned by Representative Bailey, scheduled service to Canadian destinations such as Quebec City and Toronto. And you'll actually see in your testimony box, testimony from Air Liaisons, Sebastien Debiens, which is a VP of Business Development, noting that they are looking to start in 2021 service between Quebec City and Portland, but obviously that can't happen if there's no FIS. So this isn't just a figment, there's actual business here that we can go after. We do, with that leisure component, have opportunities. Maine is known as vacation land, not just domestically, but internationally. So there's huge opportunity for seasonal charter service to Canada, seasonal charter service to a number of leisure destinations, including Cancun, Montego Bay, Puerto Vallarta, and Punta Cana. And that's more for Mainers looking for leisure opportunities outside. Certainly seasonal European service to destinations such as Iceland and the United Kingdom. Maine is seen as a vacation land for much of Europe, and it could be connected through that air service. Additionally, this would give us the opportunity to process diversions. There are times in the jet stream, we have high winds, a headwind and heavy fuel burn, which we could then take those diversions right here in Portland, Maine, instead of giving them to Boston, Logan. The opportunity for servicing international markets is timely. Just 5 years ago, the aircraft that we have, which is the 737, the Airbus A320s, which are narrow body 140 to 190 seat aircraft, they quite simply could not do the international markets that we're now looking at. But with the engine upgrades and new technologies from both Pratt & Whitney and other manufacturers, these aircraft can now go 3,800 nautical miles, 15% more fuel efficient and 50% quieter. And I will do a shout out to Pratt & Whitney right here in Maine's North Berwick plant, is a major producer of many of the parts for these new engine technologies. So the movement of air passengers and cargo to Maine, it certainly is critical to the economic well-being of the state. In 2018, our master plan showed that the Portland International Jetport contributes total economic impact of over $1.04 billion and supports 8,261 jobs. LD 1086 is certainly an investment in our transportation system that will provide economic benefits for decades to come. A 2013 study we conducted with Sixel Consulting forecast that a Portland FIS facility would generate 60,000 new international passengers by its 5th year in service. This passenger level is estimated to provide an economic impact and benefit direct of 10.2 million annually, supporting 47 jobs. When combined with the proposed international warehouse at Bangor, we're looking at direct, this isn't all impacts, but direct economic impact of $11 million annually, supporting 82 jobs. The Bangor International Airport and Portland International Airport, like the entire aviation industry, has been hard hit by the pandemic. March of this year saw the nation and our local traffic still down 50% from 2019 levels. Although that's huge, it's nothing compared to what we saw immediately at the start of the pandemic, which was 90% down. I just mentioned this because in normal times, neither Tony nor myself would be here asking for this investment. But this is different times. Normally we would fund these from normal local airport revenues and airport issue debt. But that quite simply isn't possible at current times, and we want to start this recovery. So LD 1086 provides a unique opportunity for Maine to invest in its two largest airports during this very unusual time. This one-time investment will accelerate our post-pandemic recovery, open up new international business opportunities for the state, and expand our air transportation system. So I want to just close by saying, please invest in Maine's aviation infrastructure and economic development by voting in support of LD 1086. I certainly appreciate the opportunity to present this testimony, and thank you for your consideration. And I'm here to answer any questions.
Thank you so much for your testimony. Representative Hymanson has a question.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. Are you aware of any federal money that might support this effort in the pipeline or whispers or something?
So there is money, if the infrastructure bill actually comes to fruition, there may be opportunities within the infrastructure bill, but no immediate federal funding is available for this project. But you're right, there is a significant momentum on Capitol Hill for a large infrastructure bill that we're all aware of. There's back and forth between the administration and certainly the Senate has a different package that they've proposed. Both do, will say at this time, have some funding for airports. If and when that will be available for this project is yet to be seen.
Thank you.
Anyone else have any questions? I would just echo Senator Breen's comment with our last bill too, that there's an extraordinary amount of money coming into our counties in the American Rescue Plan, and I hope that you might pursue those conversations. Not sure of the complete guidance around what we can use those fundings for, but it could be some infrastructure there. So wouldn't want to at least not have you share the conversation with the county. I don't see anyone else with any questions, so thank you so much for being here. Appreciate it. I'm an avid flyer out of there. It's a great airport. Amon Dundon is next, and then we have Stephen DeMillo and Maria Fuentes. Welcome back.
Thank you. Yes, I'm Eamon Dundon from the Portland Regional Chamber. I've been before this committee a couple times this week to argue on behalf of strategic investments that are accretive to the long-term economic growth of our state, and I think this project is no different. I won't read through my entire written testimony, but in line with my testimony earlier this week in support of a convention center in Portland, there is much potential for Portland to continue to expand our markets for recreational and business visitors. And having this facility would allow for that in Portland. The Jetport has done an amazing job over the past, decade plus in investing in the airport and the new terminal, in runway and apron investments. They've won numerous customer service awards many years in a row. And probably most importantly, and I think Director Bradbury was too modest to mention it, but really a great job in managing the fiscal health of the airport. What this translates into is, really low fees for airlines to come in and use the Portland Jetport, that are competitive with our peers, which really lays the groundwork for success for a facility like this and attracting airlines to utilize this service. But they lack this essential piece to make Portland a world-class destination currently. In Bangor, I think, the challenges and strains that the global supply chain has faced through COVID-19 really epitomizes the argument for this facility. If COVID has shown us anything, it is the need to invest in our supply chains and embrace the globalized nature of commerce. This facility, put at one of the most strategically located airports in the country, would help global supply chains, creating jobs and expanding markets for Maine products. And it also is located, in close proximity to several multimodal transportation connections with rail, our ports, and interstate highway. Both of these projects significantly alter the calculus for international tourism investment into Maine, aiding in our economic recovery and further integrating our economy into global supply chains and travel destinations. we have enjoyed great success with both robust domestic tourism and international import and export capabilities through the rail and sea. But with these two investments, we see new opportunities to build on that success and catalyze continued momentum for our state as an international destination for both business and tourism. We know the state's investment in our tourism economy and facilities like the Port of Portland have been drivers of economic growth all over the state. This additional opportunity for growth builds on those key successes. I thank you for your time today, and on behalf of the Portland business community, I urge you to strongly support this project. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your testimony. Are there any questions of Mr. Dundon? Seeing none, we appreciate you being here. Take care.
Thank you very much.
Next, we have Stephen DeMillo, and then Maria Fuentes, and then John Pearsall.
Good morning.
Welcome back.
Thank you. Representative P.S. Senator Breen and the AFA committee. Can I first of all go back to LD 987 that the name of my brother's peer is Berlin Mills.
I think that saved you for the next family dinner. So glad we have that on record.
He's lucky I'm here speaking for him. I'm here again. Thank you for your time. Steve DeMello, represent my family. We own Long Wharf, and we know the importance of the funding for the customs expansion of customs services here in Portland. And I'm just speaking that ask the committee that you folks would support it and move it on to the full legislature for consideration. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We appreciate your testimony. Any questions for Mr. DeMillo? I'm seeing none. So thanks again. Have a great day. Maria Fuentes is coming over. And again, if you are attending the meeting and you'd like to speak on this, please raise your hand so we can make sure everybody is heard. Ms. Fuentes, are you with us?
I am, but for some reason, oh, here we go. Well, let me start the video. Here we go.
There we are. Wonderful.
Thank you, Representative Peirce, Senator Breen, and distinguished committee members. My name is Maria Fuentes, and I speak today in support of LD 1086 on behalf of the Maine Better Transportation Association. MBTA is a statewide coalition that's made up of members who plan, design, build, maintain, operate, and use Maine's transportation infrastructure network. Members include design engineers, transportation contractors and equipment dealers, airport, shipping and bus companies, public works officials, and others committed to our mission of advocating for long-term funding for a transportation network. We do support LD 1086 because it will make critical investments to Maine's transportation and economic infrastructure. And the connectivity enhancements in this proposal will certainly better position our state in the global economy. I'm not going to go through my entire testimony because you've already heard the details of the bill and everything, but I would reiterate what you heard from Director Bradbury and Director Caruso, that the bond wouldn't be needed if it weren't for the pandemic, which obviously devastated our largest industry, tourism, and likewise aviation. The loss of revenues for both of Maine's largest airports has hindered their ability to make the critical investments needed in their roles as economic engines and gateways to the state. The projects funded in this bond, like you heard from the sponsor, would benefit tourism facilities large and small throughout Maine, and it would further enhance our economy through export opportunities for some of our traditional industries, such as forestry and fishing, along with other sectors such as machinery and aircraft components. New export opportunities could be generated for our farmers, as well as other small businesses making technical products and medical supplies, for instance. Maine is really fortunate that our two largest international airports are recognized nationally for the services they provide and for the way they're managed. Just last month, the Jetport was named the best airport for its size in North America for customer experience. And last year, their director was honored as the top director in the country in their market. Similarly, Bangor has been honored not only as a top 10 small airport in the country, but obviously received international acclaim for hosting the troop readers, which touched the lives of so many servicemen and women. But again, in order to remain the economic engines that they are, they need to stay competitive with other airports, and they can do that in part by improving their facilities to meet the demands of our economy. So to close, I would just say that LD 1086 is a smart investment for Maine, and it would result in capital projects that will pay dividends for decades to come. The connectivity and access that these investments would create are vital for a modern global economy. And we're talking about long-term job creating and sustaining investments that would enable our businesses to capture overseas exporting opportunities while providing more mobility and travel options for residents, visitors, and businesses alike. So respectfully, we do ask the committee to vote ought to pass on LD 1086. Thank you for your consideration, and also for the considerable time that you all are spending on hearing different bond proposals, as well as all the other budget work you do. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much for your testimony. Are there any questions for Ms. Fuentes? I'm not seeing any. We appreciate your time. Thank you for being here and your patience. Next, we have John Pearsall and then Deb Newman. Welcome.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for hearing me. I'm John Pearsall, president of Elite Airways. As some of you may know, believe it or not, there's a Part 121 commercial air carrier based in Portland, Maine. We've been there for a number of years, and we provide nonstop scheduled service to Florida. And we've also dabbled in the Canadian market. And one of the most incredible restrictions we've had in putting service into Canada has been the fact that the Portland Jetport does not have this inspection facility. We think that it is an incredible addition to get this done sooner than later. And we, as an air carrier, will be glad to provide new service to destinations in Canada and Mexico, nonstop service, with that addition. If you look at the approximate cost of the Portland Jetport side of this bill of approximately $6 to $7 million, the return to the community for every new service that we add for every city is a minimum of $20 million a year in additional revenue from tourists and businesses alike. So I can promise that Elite Airways will be glad to institute new service should this facility get done. We did go to Halifax, Nova Scotia a couple of years ago, and with the restriction that there was a pre-clearance facility there, that enabled us to provide nonstop service to Portland. But that was not our first choice. We had other choices in Canada that we would have preferred to provide service into, but without this inspection facility, we couldn't do it. I think for us and other airlines, it's a huge bonus for the city of Portland and for Maine in general to have this inspection facility. And I strongly urge you to vote it in now. It's been a long time coming in. It's unusual for an international airport to not have an inspection facility. We believe that the traffic that we can increase at Portland will be significant should you provide this facility. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Appreciate your testimony. Are there any questions for Mr. Pearsall? Is that how you pronounce it?
That's it. Yes, thank you.
Sure. I don't see anyone with any questions, so appreciate your patience and thank you for being here.
All right, thank you so much.
And now we have Deb Newman. Ms. Newman, welcome.
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you so much, Representative Peirce, Senator Breen, and esteemed members of the committee. It's a pleasure to be with you here this morning. I am the president and CEO of the Bangor Region Chamber of Commerce. We serve 21 communities in the Bangor region and work very closely with the great team at the Bangor International Airport. Sarah Dubé, who is the policy liaison for our board of directors, has submitted written testimony. She could not join you this morning. Again, I'm pleased to be with you because this is something that the board of directors of the Bangor Region Chamber of Commerce strongly supports passage of LD 1086. Tony Caruso and Senator Baldacci already did a fantastic job of describing the economic impact of this bill, but I will add some information that you might find interesting. In a recent analysis conducted by the financial website Wallet Hub and reported in Main Biz, Bangor ranked number 2 amongst the best cities in the Northeast US. Rankings were based on business friendliness of cities with 20 metrics in 3 main categories: business environment, business costs, and access to business resources. Bangor scored exceptionally well for access to business resources, and most critically important as a business resource is our airport, BGR, Bangor International Airport. It's not only an asset to the greater Bangor region, but also a vital piece of Maine's economic landscape. And by diversifying the use of the airport, Maine will show the world that you and your products can get here from there. You can work here, you can play here, you can base your business or create a business hub here. The funding proposal in LD 1086 would provide BGR with a shovel-ready site for development. Couple this with BGR's strategic location as the closest airport to Europe and as the first stop in and last stop out on the Great Circle route, and BGR quickly rises to the forefront as the premier destination for the importing and export of goods from Maine and the world. Flight refueling, and as a gateway to travel in North America. Again, on behalf of the Bangor Region Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors, we appreciate your efforts and your support of this bill. Thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thank you for your testimony. Are there any questions for Ms. Newman? I don't see any questions from the committee. I appreciate you being here and your patience. Is there anyone else? Thank you. Is there anyone else on the attendee list who would like to comment on this bill who hasn't done so? If so, please raise your hand. I do not see anyone else wanting to testify, so I will close the public hearing on LD 1086. That concludes our public hearings for today. I want to thank the committee for being here and for the 2 weeks of testimony that we've had. We do not have anything scheduled for tomorrow on the agenda, but next week we're planning on having a work session on LD 221 on Thursday, May 6th. We're still working through elements of the budget that the governor has given us. So I think there'll be a lot of caucusing going on in between now and then. I'd welcome Maureen Dawson to come on and my good co-chair to see if I've forgotten anything else in particular that's on our horizon, so to speak.
Monday morning, you will be getting a briefing on the revenue forecast from members of the Revenue Forecasting Committee. And that's at 10 o'clock on Monday.
I am so glad I invited you on. I can't believe I forgot that. So 10 a.m. Monday morning, we'll be back on Zoom for that revenue reforecasting meeting. We appreciate that. Senator Breen, anything else I might have missed?
Do we have any additional bond hearings Monday afternoon?
No, you haven't scheduled any. I think you're waiting on a few referrals so that you can wrap them up with all of the strays that have come in.
Just checking. Thank you. I think, other than caucusing and a work session on Thursday, I think that's all that I see coming.
Great. So we'll see everyone Monday morning at 10 a.m. Until then, enjoy your caucuses and then plan on a work session Thursday morning at 10 a.m. as well. So thanks to everyone. Have a great weekend and we'll see you all soon. Did anyone else have a question? Doesn't look like it.